Does anybody know the history behind the time 11 o'clock? Because you might get a history lesson today. Yep. When which war? World War I was signed at what time? 11 o'clock. Okay? So one of the famous quotes around Armistice Day was the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. So here we are, 11 o'clock, on the 11th day of the 11th month of November. And we're going to be doing a flag dedication to our school on behalf of the military at the same time that in 1918, when World War I concluded, that they signed the armistice, okay, which was a peace treaty at the time. So there's a lot of history behind the time that we're doing this. So we're going to have some students go back and forth, trying to get back and forth from lunch. This year has been different. It's going to continue to be different. But this is a very honorable time that we're about to have. So a couple of things I wanted to tell you. One, do any of you have anybody in your family that's in the military? They've served before or they're serving now? Look at that. That's awesome. Okay. I can raise my hand on that. I can tell you as an adult, one of the greatest regrets that I've always had as an adult was not serving in the military. My family had served in the military for years now. My dad and all their uncles were in the Air Force. My grandpas, they were in the Army, served in World War II, Battle of the Bulge. A lot of proud history. And so when it comes to the military, I want to make sure that we take our time to say thank you and honor them. Okay? And it's important not just to us, but it's important to y'all because how many hands it just went up. Okay? And even if somebody in your family doesn't serve, I guarantee you, you know somebody that has served. Okay? And if you don't, Colonel Scates is with us. Now, this is Colonel Trent Scates. Many of you already know him, but if you don't, you can officially say you know somebody that has served and is serving our country. Okay? So as our honored guest today, he's going to be the one dedicating the flag. So a couple of things to do with that. I wanted to tell you, he was deployed last year in October 2019. I believe October 24th is what you mentioned earlier. And he and his men, how many of y'all have deployed altogether?
130.
130 were deployed out of Tennessee over to the Middle East, and they stayed there for a year. And just this past October, they were able to come back after serving in the Middle East. While they were there, they took part in 3 operations, and those names were Spartan Shield. Now, that's a really cool name. Okay, Operation Spartan Shield, Operation Inherent Resolve, and Operation Freedom Sentinel. And that was in support in our military action over there in the Middle East, specifically in Iraq and Afghanistan. So if you think about the history of what just took place in the last year, of what our local citizen soldiers have done here from Greenfield in terms of serving our country and keeping our freedoms intact. Okay? So with that, how this is going to go, Colonel Scates is going to talk to you for just a little bit, and then after that, we're going to call up Miss Katie Taylor and Mr. Tanner Taylor. Their grandparent, granddad, also Sergeant Major Kevin Ray, served with Colonel Scates while they were overseas in the Middle East. Okay? So we've asked them to be here in attendance. So after he's done talking to you for a little bit about what they did and a little bit about the history of Veterans Day, we're going to ask them to come up along with his sons, Philip and Matt, and then they're going to actually receive the flag on behalf of Greenfield School from the United States Army. Okay? Any questions? Okay? So let's listen with both ears, keep your eyes on target, and with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to you, Colonel Scates, and we thank you for your service.
Is it okay to remove the mask?
Yes.
All right. Good morning. How's everybody doing today? Good. Well, just let me welcome you, faculty, staff, and students here at Greenfield School. I want to take this opportunity to talk with you on this Veterans Day. And for the veterans that are out there, if you have any in your classrooms that may be with you or families back home, wish them a happy Veterans Day. I'm Colonel Trent Scates, United States Army, Tennessee Army National Guard. Most of you know me as either McCall's dad or Matt's dad or Phil's dad or Coach Scates or something like that. If you played football, basketball, or baseball in the past in the league sports and so forth. I want to take a few minutes to talk about what Veterans Day symbolizes. You've already heard there a little bit, that 11th hour on that 11th day of that 11th month. So what was that? Does anyone know what war that happened in? Go ahead. World War I, exactly right. This day symbolizes the day that the United States, the Allied powers, United States and Great Britain, basically had a ceasefire during World War I, a complete ceasefire. So on this 11th day, excuse me, this 11th day of November, we celebrate what was initially referred to as Armistice Day. Okay? So Armistice Day is not only celebrated here in the United States, it's also celebrated in Great Britain. So did anyone know that? So actually this day is not only a holiday here, but it's also a holiday in Great Britain. Okay? So something new for you there. All right? In basically 1954, a former general of the United States Army who was then serving as president basically proclaimed that Armistice Day would now be referred to as Veterans Day. So since 1954, the day, November 11th, 1954, Veterans Day became the name that we call Armistice Day here in the United States. It's still referred to as Armistice Day in Great Britain to this day. All right? So what is Veterans Day? Veterans Day serves as a common purpose to recognize the members of all armed services. Not only Army, which I am a part of, but Air Force, Navy, Marines, and even the Coast Guard. Okay? And basically these people have served during either peacetime and war in defense of this great nation. Well, today we celebrate and recognize those veterans. So this afternoon at about 1 o'clock, we're going to have a parade that will come down in front of the school here that you would be able to show your support for those veterans that have served this great nation. All right? Well, one of the things that I ask of you is take time to sit down with them. Take time to talk to them about some of the things that they did when they wore the uniform. That uniform doesn't look like this one that I have on today. It's a little bit different. Okay? And that uniform may be a uniform worn by a service member or a soldier or an airman or even a seaman basically that served our great country. I'd also like for you to talk to the families of these individuals. For they not only serve when their family member is wearing a uniform as well. Okay? So when I was overseas, I recently returned from deployment to the Middle East, or from the Middle East. All right? Basically, my wife, Miss Beth, and our kids, Matt, Philip, and then McCall, also served as well. Okay? All right. So I want to recognize both the family, or both the veterans, the families, and the great patrons of this nation on this day of Veterans Day. Thank you for your service and your great sacrifice of our great nation, the United States of America. Well, one of the reasons why I'm up here today is to not only talk a little bit about what Veterans Day is, I also came up here on a personal note. I have another recognition to make on this Veterans Day. As most of you know, I just came back from deployment from the Middle East. Does anybody know how far Kuwait is from here? About 7,000 miles. That's a pretty big distance, isn't it? About 7,000 miles. Okay? While deployed, one of the biggest things that brings us the greatest joy is receiving what is called mail call. Basically, you have a postman, a postmaster, post person that sticks your mail in your mailbox, and your parents probably go get it, and they say, hey, Philip, you have a card today. You may want to open that piece of mail, right? All right? Well, overseas, we have basically the same thing. It comes to our unit through the Postal Service, and we have a time that we go pick up our mail and packages that have been sent to us from the United States. Well, I want to take this time to recognize the students, faculty, and staff that took the time to send letters of support while being abroad. And as you can see, I kept them. This is basically a lot of the cards, a lot of the letters that you sent me while I was deployed overseas this past year. So in recognition of your support, I flew this flag in honor of you. This flag has been flown, and then it's been folded and placed in this box for you. In recognition of your support, I flew this flag on the 30th day of July, 2020. This flag flew over the 194th Brigade, Engineer Brigade headquarters in your honor. This certificate of authenticity also accompanies this flag. It reads, Headquarters, 194th Engineer Brigade, the TEB, which stands for the Theater Engineer Brigade, Tennessee Army National Guard. Operation Spartan Shield 1920, Operation Inherent Resolve 1920, and Operation Freedom Sentinel. Operation Spartan Shield was basically all of the Middle East countries that we were in while we were over there. Operation Inherent Resolve is Iraq. So if you hear those names, you'll understand those. And then Operation Freedom's Sentinel is in Afghanistan. So we had soldiers spread throughout 3 major operations in over 8 different countries. How many countries is the United States? Oh, that's states. How many countries is it? 1. So we were in 8 different countries while we were in the Middle East. This certificate certifies that this American flag was flown over headquarters and headquarters company 194th Engineer Brigade Theater Army Camp Burin, Kuwait during these named operations. Presented to Greenfield Elementary School by Colonel Michael T. Scates, flown 30th July 2020. Undersigned is Michael D. O'Connor, Command Sergeant Major, and Warner A. Ross, the second Colonel Commanding. So I would like to present Greenfield Elementary School this flag.
At this time, will Tanner, 4th grade, come forward? My name is Katie, in 3rd grade. Please. Philip, 5th grade. Matt, 10th grade. If y'all come up on behalf of the school and receive the flag from Colonel Scates, please.
Thank you. I know you know I know Granddaddy real well, right? All right. It's a pleasure serving with him. I'll let you hold that. And Miss Katie, I'll let you hold this certificate. All right. Thank you for your support.